Morning. Day off yesterday, but a couple of calls I gave you and a nice little technique which gives you a free punt in the second half. In any matches, and I mentioned this to members in the research, Roma and Como could be a tight one, and indeed it was. Lay over 0.5 goals at the start of the match. If you can get to half-time at 0-0, you've got a free lay the draw second half. Roma ended a sequence of two 1-0 defeats with another 1-0 win. This is their scoreline this season. It's very, very hard to be consistent with that because it relies on a solid defensive line, of course. Como coming off the back of a 4-0 drubbing against Inter Milan, obviously reacting defensively, but just couldn't last. A bit like Wolverhampton Wanderers, but they're far better form than Wolverhampton Wanderers. Man United and Bournemouth, I just couldn't read. It was either going to be a goal fest or it was going to be a tight 1-1 because both sides struggled for that second goal recently. Man U in 2 matches, Bournemouth in the last 2 homes, 0-0 and a 0-1. Now, indeed, if you went the first route, you could have laid Man United 1-0 up and still profited. So, a great match to watch, I suppose. But as a trading vehicle, the only way you would have profited is if you stuck with one particular team throughout, regardless of the scoreline. Sheffield Wednesday and Derby, well, that pretty much sums up the Owls' season, doesn't it? Bologna and Estac Trois do look for league position if you're going to be looking for matches to shortlist. And indeed, Estac Trois doing the business. Let's have a look at how this match progressed. Well, they did score the opening goal. So for me, any trading angle would have been pretty much done, unless there was a red card. And it was a red card for Estac Trois. And, oh dear, Mbele Bula, you absolute tool. You absolute tooler. Mbele Bula missing a penalty, a professional footballer missing a penalty. It's one of my bugbears, this. And it cost them, Bologna, the win. Because ripped apart Mbele Bula's missed penalty. That, he was going to have sleepless nights about that. Professional footballer missing a penalty. Oh, my goodness. So Estac Trois, very lucky to get away with that. No trading angle, really. I was looking for Bologna to potentially score. And you can see they were very weak yesterday. Own goal and a penalty, potentially, for Mbele Bula, the absolute tooler. The 2 banker bets, in inverted commas, the ones that I have starred are the ones I'm interested in from a banker perspective. And this is something you can do daily as well, just to narrow your focus to quality. 1-0 for Braga, nothing much doing there. And this is exactly the scoreline you expect of a 1.13 shot, isn't it? I say it time and time again, 3-0, 3-1, any other home score. An opening Samu goal, no other real trading angle apart from Marcus's 60th minute equaliser. That could have given you an angle in, but you've had to be Speedy Gonzalez, Guzmura getting that 2-1. And then Luan Patrick's own goal making it 3-1. But this is the kind of scoreline you will see. And it's also the scoreline you will see here. I've noted. And it's something you can look at. Go over to Odds Checker. I'm making a note of any match where the away team is mentioned at odds of 9 or higher. Time and time again, it's a variant of a 3-1 scoreline. And 3-1 scoreline is something like 20-1 or higher. So I go through these each day for you. Probably not today because it's the Cup. But I go through these for you and I make note of anything like this. Look, 91, 61. You just tend to see the potential for a 3-0, 3-1, any other home score, that kind of a scoreline. 3-1, of course, is the biggie. So I'm recording these results, and I did a stint yesterday of updating my betting goes, but it is, I can't do it consistently. I've got so many projects on. As you know, I was mugged of all my money last year, so I've got to start some new businesses, and it takes a hell of a lot of work. But let's have a look at the betting goes. So I gave myself an allotted time period yesterday just to update some of these. You can see we're getting there. And the great thing about having Google Docs is you can take this to Google Gemini and just say to Gemini, pop into my drive, please. Have a look at the football testing lab. Are you familiar with my shorthand here? If so, analyze these for patterns and give me a report. I think in this one, the over 1.5 goals was outstanding, wasn't it? And I've also included a line here, first goal after 20 minutes. You'll note quite often you're going to be seeing a goal at least after 20 minutes. 20 minutes is, for me, is a really good way to increase your value. This is what I'm talking about, both teams to score, match results, and both teams to score. I bet you Porto was on this list. Let's have a look yesterday. Surely Porto would have been on this list. Indeed, Braga, Porto, Fenerbahce and Castellon. Let's have a look at those scorelines. Braga 1-0, Porto 3-1, Castellon 3-1. Look at this. Very, very interesting, isn't it? And Fenerbahce, I think they were on the list. So you can see a 3-0, 3-1 derivative. 4-0 here. A couple of 3-1s yesterday. If you're backing these at 20 plus odds, the results are huge, aren't they? Let's have a look here, because the market's not expecting a goal to be scored by Estrella. So I wonder what 3-1's like with the bookmakers. So you're going to have a look at the correct score if it's still available. But with Betfair, it's going to be far more competitive. So correct score, 3-1. It's about 11-1 with Bet365. But you're going to get far better odds with Betfair. But you can see a pattern emerging, and this is something artificial intelligence is going to work for me. It's going to tell me these patterns. How many times will 3-1 emerge? Will it emerge enough times for us to make a level stakes profit? I don't know. But you can see there's a definite pattern emerging. Bang, bang. This was another banker bet yesterday, Castellon against Mirandes. And I did give you a lay the draw second half in this particular match. And off we go, Kamara, 65th minute. So a couple of good calls yesterday. It's not normal that I turn up on a Monday, but Sunday I was very, very distracted with my mother's ills. Didn't need to be, really. She looks on the mend. A couple of blood transfusions has really changed her outlook. Today's trading angles, well, there aren't any. It's as simple as that. I was due to go out for a meal with a mate, but he's caught the old lurgy. So if I am up and about this evening, I will be following these for you. I can't really say, quote unquote, bankers in the cup, can you? Because some of these teams, even the likes of Chelsea, will flatter to deceive. They'll put in a pretend solid performance and be hopeful to get knocked out. These matches also, the draw is in play. Don't forget that. The draw is in play. So they're very difficult to trade. All dependent on the Chelsea team news, I would suggest. Cardiff will be fixated more for me on getting out of League One. KNVB Becker, the old Boris. Let's have a look. Perhaps you can see this. I normally look for the away side to have the high number. 23, but you can perhaps do it the other way as well. So this, I wonder, at the end of today, whether we'll see Chelsea scoring 3+ goals. Could be a good indicator for you, couldn't it? South Africa against Ghana at 2 o'clock. Copa del Rey. Again, we've got some. What we tend to see is the La Liga side tends to be the away side. So we've got a reverse. I might start recording these as well, Eldense and Barcelona. So I wonder if we're going to see 3 goals at least from these two as well. And in the Dutch Cup, Heracles 91, NEC Nijmegen, who've been in really good form. If they're up for it today, again, we could get 3 goals from them. And PSV Eindhoven against GVVV. We expected to see a goal fest. And they're all lining up with the pre-match odds as well. You can see that same odds as Porto. These odds are telling you it's going to be an absolute goal fest. Anything 1.02, 1.04. Why don't you have a punt with a bookmaker? 3 scorelines between 4-0 and 9-0. I just hope it doesn't end 10-0. 3 scorelines between 4-0 and 9-0. You're not expecting Hugeveen or GVVV to actually score. You're going to get far better odds, of course, than 1.04, 1.02. But I'm restricted here, really. I don't like trading cup matches. La Liga Portugal 2, I suppose we can have a look. Maritimo, ex of La Liga. Why don't we just practice reading a football match? So we go off to Portugal, number 2. And down we go, Maritimo and Benfica. Scroll on down. Just have a look through this match. I don't know the odds. I've forgotten the odds. So I wonder if my conclusions will marry with the market. Already on paper, you can see only 4 defeats. 3 defeats for Maritimo. It looks like a newly relegated side, don't they? And they've put in a really solid performance at home. 3 consecutive home wins, scoring 2 goals at least. 5 consecutive wins, scoring 2 goals at least. 4 clean sheets in 5 matches. They're ticking every single box here, aren't they? Goals before half-time as well since the 19th of October. Compare that to sometime winners Benfica B. 2 of their 3 wins have come at home, so obviously on the road they're a bit wobbly. They do have a strong both teams to score pattern away from home, which you'll note there, and you can note that both teams to score pattern here. Normally when both of these numbers marry, there's a strong both teams to score pattern. But there is. It's just, at the moment, it's only a 2 match because they've had one where they didn't see both teams to score. But all of the others, Benfica's both teams to score pattern suggests they could be liable if leading, particularly with that 2-goal habit from Maritimo. It looks very consistent, doesn't it? So for me, I'll be looking at Maritimo being a touch of odds on today. They've scored 2+ in the last 5. You can see that in that table down there. This is why this website is so effective. And if you do it the old manual way, I do research via AI and via myself, but doing it yourself, you can pick up patterns like this. And the challenge table is something that AI hasn't really picked up on yet. This is 2nd against 16th. So a bit like Castillon yesterday against Mirandes. Castillon were up here, Mirandes were down here. So this is another way for you to potentially get a shortlisted match. I wonder if Maritimo will go top with a win. That's motivating. 3 score draws against the top 8 away from home for Benfica B could suggest they might be competitive, but this looks very solid form indeed. Scoring 2+ goals against sides 15th and lower, playing 16th today, and wins to 0. So you're not expecting Benfica B to score 2 consecutive goals today. So regardless of the league you're in, if you're able to research it manually, at least, you can find yourself a potential banker bet. Stronger concession rate second half for Maritimo. They've got to tidy that up a little bit. But Benfica B don't seem to have that goal threat. If they do, it comes in the first half. You can quite clearly see 7 out of 10 goals scored in the first half. 2-0 at half-time at home, none at full-time. 1-0 at half-time away, none at full-time. So if there's a 0-0 at half-time, you've got the potential to take that on. Now, I would be suggesting about 1.7 bet Maritimo. Let's have a look. 1.75, there you go. So, yeah, that is quite generous, to be honest, with a consistent 2-goal win. So I would put that down as a potential banker today. Maritimo, on paper, at least, look excellent. Scottish Challenge Cup, Partick Thistle doing well in the Scottish Championship. St Johnstone, surely they'd want to get rid of this cup, focus on getting back up to the SPL. having an excellent season and a really good trading candidate. As you saw, 2-0 loss against Ayr turned into a win for St Johnstone. For me, the distraction of the cup for a side who've been relegated is just too much. The Swiss Super League, we can have a quick look at this, but this already tells you to be on your guard. St Gallen against Sion. Rather than go this route, you'll have to go to CH for Switzerland. St Gallen against Sion. Have a quick look. And probably it's going to suggest these two are very closely aligned. That's 2.3 the favourite normally. Only the one draw for St Gallen, so that's immediately an angle for you today. Possibility to lay that draw. Sporadic side, you'd have to say. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. St Gallen at home. Not a good pattern, is it? Only the 1-0 at half time since the 13th of September for St Gallen. No, more than that. 3, so ignore that. That's not a strong enough angle. Looking at Sion, they're unbeaten in 5 matches. Scored 2 goals in 3 of the last 5. No real strong patterns, but away from home they look a lot sharper, don't they? Only the 1 defeat away from home. Maybe it's the home form that is a problem, or the home support that's putting too much pressure on them. A side where they can really ignite before half time. 4, 2, 4, 3, 1, 2, 1 goals before half time. Challenge table will tell you where these two are relative to each other. It's a top 5 clash. So 2 of St Gallen's defeats have come against the top 5. It was a 3-2 last time these two met. So we might see a both teams to score angle here today. But this is not the side you normally see up the top. It's normally the young boys, Basel, etc. And they're just hovering behind St Gallen. So indeed, Thun, not a side you normally see at the top of the Swiss Super League. Form lines, no draw at home. So you might want to lay any late draw. Conceding 2+ goals far too often, albeit only once outside the top 4. So the top 3, too good for St Gallen, but outside the top 4, they look pretty robust. Sion, no win yet against the top 6 away. Failure to score that second goal against the top 6. If that pattern continues, then St Gallen will be favoured. For me, I don't like the pre-match odds, 2.3 the favourite. What I do like is the potential for that draw to end. Only the single draw for St Gallen all season. Winter Tour and Thun. We already know now that Thun are top of the league. That could signal they could be a team just for you to look out for today if you want to ignore the cup. I suggest Thun's form will be pretty hot. So let's have a look. If you see this members only, you've got to do a quick drive into matches. Scroll down and get this one here. So knowing what we know now that Thun are top of the league, they're on a bit of a poor run, but it's all relative to their league position. Winter Tour, though, only 2 wins all season. One of them coming recently at home. They have been a little bit competitive, haven't they? Both teams have scored in the last 3. 2 wins only, though, have come within the last 6 matches. Don't look that hot, do they? What we need to look at is where Thun are losing. They've scored in the last 8 away, so note that. No draw in 12, so another match we might want to lay the late draw. Home side have conceded in the last 17, so could be very gettable indeed. So Thun, where are they losing? Well, they're losing against the top 4, aren't they? 3 of those 5 defeats come against the top 4. That was just a failure to score, and that's a competitive 2-1 where they corrected that at home. So for me, this looks all systems go. Both teams could score today. Very competitive at home against the top 7, but without winning. Tending to even score 2 goals, but without fixing it. So that's it for me today. You're highly unlikely not to hear from me, but I do have a couple of bankers I'll keep an eye out on. Have a great day.